Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome people to episode 184 of Dude and a Monkey. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mark Foster, and as ever, I am joined by
Ian Loring. Hello.
hello everybody. This week we are back with a standard kind of more normal format of our show. There's no double review. We're not on tour anymore or anything like that. So we're going to bring you a review of the latest Tom Ford film, Nocturnal Animals. We're also going to bring you some trailers, some what we've been watching, probably a few tangents, and we've got some Twitter questions and the usual bits and a bats. I am recording for the first time in my podcast office.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's the first time I've recorded in here. It's really quite nice. I didn't have to bring a chair up from the dining room to record in my bedroom. And I'm surrounded by a Joker poster from The Killing Joke, a Rocky poster, and I've got Argento's Sleepless, Two Evil Eyes, Stendhal Syndrome, and a Martin poster behind me.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty cool. So Ian, has anything happened? I suppose we should talk quickly, about the Carpenter gig, since we didn't do any recording on it because I had to dash back to York and bits like that.
Yeah. I woke up and you were gone.
Yes, you did. I woke and I was gone. And all
like so many men have done to me.
Yes, all that was left was a little bit of soreness and regret.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it was a good day. I enjoyed the day. Is what I'm going to say on it.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I'm fairly tall.
Yes.
So I had a better time of it.
Yeah. The thing is, with the actual gig itself, it was a disappointment, and I know that they had problems with the PJ Harvey gig on Thursday, a similar thing. So it is a problem with the venue, and the fact that the venue has been so quick to kind of, well, they're so slow to go. No, we're allowed that many people. It seems to be their response is our safety certificate says we're allowed to sell that many tickets, which is a little bit like for a club night, not for a gig.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the thing is, I find it very hard to kind of decide to switch between the two because I had a great day. I got to spend the day with my two best mates, drinking and chatting. So I had a good time.
Yep, straight up. Yeah, no. I mean, like I say, I had a decent time with the gig. Even I felt really bad for Noel because he was fucking crushed. Like not literally, like he was just really, really depressed after it.
Yeah, I felt bad for it because I think. Because I had basically the same experience as Noel because I was with him, but I think it kind of bothered me a little bit less. I don't know why, but it just did.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no. Bless it me, just he didn't have a good time with that night.
No. I think he had a good time with the rest of it.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely.
We had some fun drinking.
Yes.
And is there anything else that's happened in the wonderful and mystical world of film that we need to chat about?
Probably, but not that I can think of.
Junkie XL has also left the Deadpool sequel.
Yeah. Well.
In a show of solidarity. And there are rumblings coming out as to why there was a disparity between Reynolds and Tim Miller as well. They're starting to come out a little bit apparently.
Yeah. Well, it was about the scale of the thing, wasn't it?
Reynolds wanted to do it a little bit more and take advantage of the R rating and focus in on more of the piss taking and things like that. And Miller wanted to kind of use the budget to go for a more traditional superhero movie kind of thing. Seems to be it's a rumour, but it's a rumour. Could be anything. But now Tim Miller apparently is going to do a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yes.
Which, do you know what, is one of those where I go, I don't see how that can work, but I'm going to enjoy finding out whether it can or can't.
It's a live-action CG hybrid, is it not?
It is indeed, yes, I think so, yeah. Which is interesting, I suppose. Yeah, I cannot visualise it. But then again, I can't. Tim Miller might be able to, and it might be, do you know what, that's fucking brilliant. So yes, all power to the guy, and I genuinely hope it's a fucking huge success because that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ian, trailers. There's been a few out this week, actually, hasn't there?
Yeah. I was slightly slow on the uptake, to be honest. But did we say what we're covering today?
Yeah, Nocturnal Animals.
Did you say that?
Yes.
Oh, fair enough. All right, my apologies. So the new trailer for La La Land, which looks as good as it has been looking, frankly. I am looking forward to that. T2 Train Spotting, which appears to be what they're actually calling it.
Yeah.
T2 Train Spotting, which is fucking weird. Which looks... The trailer makes it look like nostalgia porn. We'll see. I hope it's more than that.
I have a feeling it's not going to be.
Yeah.
I've just got a feeling. But the thing is, the weird thing is about that trailer is, I watched it and I had the same sort of reaction to you of, this is just nostalgia porn. But I did finish and I did go, oh, but you know what? I'm still kind of excited to get to see what they're going to do with it, to see where these people have been and where they've gone, what they've done, and how they're going to interact coming back together. And I'm interested in all of that. The problem is, that's all the bits that I'm interested in, and it's kind of like, well, what if it's just none of those things? What if all of the stories that they're going to fill in for the past 20 odd years are just crap? And then the film's just crap. It's just going to feel more like a crushing disappointment. And the weird thing is, I don't hold Trainspotting up as this massive pantheon fucking film. I enjoy Trainspotting. I think it's a great film. But it's not something that I revisit every few years. I own it on Blu-ray, but I don't think I've ever actually watched it on Blu-ray. And I owned it on DVD. I don't think I ever watched it on DVD, which means the last time I watched it was probably VHS. So you're talking at least a decade ago.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, I think I was a generation too young for it, because it came out in 95?
95, 96, I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I would have been like 11 or 12. I remember when it first played on Channel 4 and, like, taping
96,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I remember when it first played on Channel 4 and, like, taping it and it being quite the talking point at school. But, Christ, I must have... Thinking about it, I think that might have been around about when I was... Yeah, like year 10, year 11 maybe. So yeah, that makes sense. So I am just like the kind of like the rave culture kind of thing. It's slightly passed me by. Like my late teen years were more like the early noughties, like guitar bands where every single band started with the, which was a thing for a while. So. It's not quite my generation, but I do appreciate the film, obviously. It just... I really hope... I compared it on WhatsApp, didn't I, to Cold Feet, and like the fact that had a revival, which apparently is actually not bad. And it's just like, am I interested in seeing these characters again? Yes. If they just... I don't know if it's just about them like relapsing into their old ways and then realising in the third act that maybe there's more to life or something like that. Maybe slightly like the original Trainspotting, then it's going to be more of an issue. I hope the material is worthy of them all getting back together to revisit this. The trailer does not make it clear.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I remember I first watched... Trainspotting came out on video, on VHS to rent, in the school holidays of 96, in the summer holidays. And I think I remember renting it then and doing myself a copy of it. And I watched it like 3 or 4 times in the first week, and so I watched it quite a lot over those years. So I don't really need to remember it that much. I think I was like 14 at the time. So yeah, it was like a big sort of cultural touching point at that time. It was this was a film about sort of. I had everything. I had sex, drugs, a great soundtrack, and I had the soundtrack. Do you know what? I genuinely even did have the fucking poster as well. So yeah, but it's not one. It's not one that, like I say, that I would say that I go back to that often, or that I'll watch it again probably just before this comes out. And I'm looking forward to my rewatch of it. I'd probably rewatch it sooner, but I think, do you know what? I might just rewatch it like the week before, so everything's fresh there.
Yeah, fair enough. Same. Yeah, I'd go with that. What else? Office Christmas Party, which I don't know, maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
It looks a little bit like one of those films where if you catch it in the right Christmas mood, it'll be really, really good. And if you catch it in the wrong Christmas mood or the wrong just general mood, you'll be, this is just bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of probably this is just bullshit, Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage, which looks nutty.
It looks a little bit like essentially what's happened there is because Vin Diesel has got this film made, hasn't he? Let's be honest, and he's gone in and they've gone. So I've got all these really good ideas, and he's like throwing them all on the screen, and it essentially is just all of the bits where the people who are making the Fast and Furious movies have gone. That sounds a little bit stupid. That, to be honest, no. and he's gone. All right. And he's just literally just like copied and just flicked it across to the Triple X fucking folder and gone, that'll do for Triple X. Skis that work on water that are motorbikes. No, that's terrible. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Triple X.
Neymar popping up.
Neymar's got a character poster. And I shit you not, Neymar has a character poster.
Good on him.
Do you know what? That says everything you need to know about this film. Neymar has a character poster. Underlined, I'll still watch it. And do you know what? It'll finish and I'll go, that was bullshit, but I kind of enjoyed it.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know. It's coming out in January. It looks like it could be quite good, goofy fun in January. So, who knows? Okay, a couple others from me. Wonder Woman, not as good as the first trailer. I mean, obviously I'll watch it. I'm not entirely sure if I'm that hyped for it.
I am, but that trailer made me go, can I just watch can I raise that and just watch the first trailer again?
Sure. Yeah. No, exactly. And the Lego Batman movie, which, looks fun. I'm a little worried if they're going to be able to sustain that for 90 minutes, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I was worried about the same for the first Lego movie, so...
Yeah, I don't know. In the end of the day, it is basically going to be for kids, and if kids like it, awesome. There you go. I'll probably take Lottie to it.
Yeah,
she's quite like superheroes and stuff, and it looks like it might be quite fun for her. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm kind of. I don't think it's going to be that great, but I'm perfectly willing to sit and let it entertain me for 86 minutes or whatever it'll be.
Yeah. So actually, that is it for me from my end. So I take it you have some more.
I think maybe one or two. Wilson, the Woody Harrelson and Laura Dern movie.
Yeah, didn't get to this. How is it?
Looks like it could be quite amusing, based on the graphic novels, and it's essentially just Woody Harrelson. Just his character decides that he's not going to say the things that he doesn't want to say, so his character is just a dick. But looks funny, but looks a little bit like it could wear thin quite quickly. And the other one is Gifted, the Chris Evans playing, doing one of the smaller roles he does. that he kind of crops up in and every so often. Plays the uncle to a gifted child who he now is the carer of because his sister died. A child is a prodigy. And he wants to keep her away from that environment where she's pushed ahead and said, look how amazing you are, and look how fantastic you are, and you need to be nurtured in this type of environment. And he wants her to just have a normal life. And her grandmother then comes back on the scene, and he's trying to get custody of her so she can throw her into all of these like special gifted schools, etc. So. If it was anybody else but Evans, I'd be going, nah. But he's a good screen presence, and he does make me go, do you know what? That looks a little bit too saccharine, a little bit too trying to elicit certain emotions for me. But it's got Chris Evans in it, and I'll happily spend 2 hours watching that type of movie with Chris Evans.
Okay.
So that and Life, the sci-fi Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal, and a whole bunch of other people movie.
What? That's a new one on me. What's that?
It is. It's like a sci-fi movie. Comes out next year. Bear me 2 seconds. Let me just get who is in it. From Daniel Espinosa.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, Ryan Reynolds star in it. The six-member crew of the International Space Station is tasked with studying a sample from Mars that may be the first proof of extraterrestrial life, but proves to be more intelligent than expected.
Okay.
Looks good. Looks really good, actually. To be honest, I think it comes out May. I think it is. So. Yeah, and it's Jake Gyllenhaal who's knocking it out of the park at the moment. Interestingly enough, as well, it is a triple billing, and it's Rebecca Ferguson's billed second in it, which is quite nice. So but look, looks good. I check the trailer out. It looks very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I've not even. First time I ever even heard of it, as far as I'm aware. So, okay, that sounds interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's it for me for trailers, I think. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, that is it.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. All right. Oh no, you're bloody fucking.
I am indeed still.
Sorry.
Yes, no, that's not all. Right, our feature review is of Tom Ford's written and directed. It's based on the Austin Wright book Tony and Susan. Stars, it's a heck of a cast this. Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Isla Fisher, Armie Hammer, Laura Linney, Andrea Riseborough, and Michael Sheen. Jenna Malone crops up in there as well, if I remember correctly. And is the story of Aglione, Amy Adams' character. It's kind of... Right, we're all spoilers all the time because... For me to explain the way the plot works is a spoiler. Would you agree on that?
Kinda, yeah.
Right. Amy Adams, her character is living to coin the phrase that they use in the film, the bourgeois lifestyle. She comes from a very wealthy family, and she's living a very wealthy lifestyle that she clearly is very well aware is largely nonsense. She receives a book manuscript from her ex-husband, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, we assume. And as she is reading the book, we're seeing what's in the book as she is reading it. And that's where Jake Gyllenhaal comes into it, and where Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Fisher and people come into it, and they work through there. And so she's going through this kind of crisis of self, whilst also reading this book, which is dedicated to her and is very strongly linked, kind of emotionally, to the fragility of their relationship. But we'll get into it. It'll start to make more sense, I think, as we get into the actual review of it. So, Ian, Nocturnal, you went to watch it quite late on last night, I believe.
Last night, yeah.
Which is the opposite of me. I went to watch it ridiculously early this morning, so it's quite cool. They've got a juxtapositions for there. Well, what did you think of Nocturnal Animals?
Well, me and the two drunk guys behind me,
you're kidding.
who fell asleep. They basically came in half an hour into the film, took their seats, and I heard snoring every now and then. So I was like, cool, whatever.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be watching Nocturnal Animals drunk.
No.
So, I mean, a question for you first. Opening titles, most erotic thing you've seen this year?
I was in the screening on my own at 9:30 this morning, and I'll admit it was hard not to go to one of my special places.
Yeah. Fair enough. I thought it was fantastic. Really, really, really strong. I was kind of surprised by how horror inflected it was. I mean, with a single man, Tom Ford dealt with a guy who's basically planning on killing himself at the end of the day, and there's a slight sense of dread there, but here he's kind of cranking it up. There are scenes that are very uncomfortable. One of the best jump scares I've seen in context ever, frankly, because Jesus fucking Christ, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, but it also, I mean, all spoilers all the time, the moment with the baby monitor, but it actually makes sense in context as well, and she's looking at a baby, and then, what she did to Jake Gyllenhaal's baby, and then bang, there's the guy who kills Jake Gyllenhaal's daughter in the story.
Yeah.
It's there's meaning there. There's a lot of meat to chew on here, but it balances that darkness with a weirdly funny, and I think intentionally so, performance from Michael Shannon, which then gets a bit heartbreaking towards the end. Amy Adams is fantastic. She doesn't have a lot to do, but Christ, when it cut to her and Jake Gyllenhaal when they were younger and they meet each other in that snowy street.
Yeah.
And it's like, fucking hell, life has made you so miserable in comparison.
Yeah.
You're watching this forlorn, just not happy Amy Adams, and it cuts and it's like bright, happy, smiley, effervescent Amy Adams, and bright, smiley Jake Gyllenhaal as well. But it works so well. She does both of those very, very well. I'll let you speak, but top part of the end of the year, I reckon, could be higher than that. I was really quite taken with it.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I think it's a staggering film. It's I mean, the opening titles, I won't say what the opening titles are. I will leave that as an unspoiled thing. I don't think we need to. But from straight away there, you're watching it going, knowing from where Tom Ford comes from, he works, he's made his name and made his money in the fashion industry. And if you ever heard him talk about the fashion industry, he's incredibly damning about it. He essentially says that it is bullshit swapping bullshit. He's not afraid to be incredibly controversial in the way that he approaches it, and he's uncompromising. And straight away, the opening of this film is quite uncompromising. It's him showing you the ridiculousness of what he's about to show you, the ridiculousness of this person's, the main character's existence. The fact that she seems to be well aware that it's all bollocks. And then the cleverness of mixing the what you're seeing in the story of what she's reading and you're seeing it, the cleverness of that is very good. And it's so those bits and the actual real life bits, they're totally different but feel part of the same film. And it very much, the key thing is, I think, with it is, you're not actually seeing what is written in that book. You're seeing her imagination of what is that book. So the fact is that she says to one of the characters later on in the film that what is written is nasty than it used to be, and it's horrible and anything like that. But the actual script might not be that bad. It's just she's nastier and she's become more horrible and she's become more detached. And there's that to take into account. And are these things? Is it just a book and he's just sent it to her? Or is it a criticism of her? Where is all that coming from? Is it an attack, or is it an olive branch? You don't know. It's really quite. It leaves you in limbo there with frankly, I think a fantastic ending to the movie. A really, really fantastic ending. And like you said, what I think is great is I would agree with you. I think this is a horror film. In a lot of ways, like a psychological horror film, in the same way as something like Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I think if you had to pigeonhole that into a film, it's a horror film. And I would say you could definitely argue with this as being a psychological horror film. The performances are fantastic, and even people like Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who, let's be honest, can be quite poor sometimes. He's very good in this, and his role is perfect. And there's a certain holy griminess to this film, whilst also having a wonderful sort of affectations polish to it. It really is quite the juxtapositions in terms of how we've got one world against the other, and really great to see Michael Shannon playing a good guy in it, in a roundabout way. In this movie, I would kind of count him as being one of the good guys.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I don't know. Michael Shannon's an interesting one because I think he's a good guy more often than he's not. But it kind of I think maybe it's his face that makes you feel like he's not a good guy, which might be a bit mean, but.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a lot of the time his more celebrated roles can often be him being not celebrated, more known roles are often him being the bad guy.
Yeah. No, sure. But yeah, I mean, he's very good. I think what you were saying there about like it being in Amy Adams' mind's eye as well, I think is interesting. I mean, like crucially, the fact that she doesn't cast herself as the wife.
Yeah,
and the daughter is not the daughter. They're facsimiles. They're close.
Yeah, but they're not quite there.
No, because I mean, like you see the daughter basically in that one shot, like her actual daughter, and she's older than the daughter in the story, isn't she? Yeah. So even that kind of stuff's interesting, and
it's really strange because the weird thing is, this film is so directed. There is so much going on because there's a weird thing when we see the daughter and the mother in the pose they've been laid out. You see it from a wide angle shot, and you see the daughter laid down, and you see her butt. Is the best way I can use to describe it. And you've got she's laid on her side, red hair coming down, completely naked. And then when she calls her daughter, it's the same image.
Yeah.
Did you then notice that the next image is her sat at her desk at work, isn't it? And then her assistant comes in and talks to her. Did you notice the painting behind her is of a red-haired woman laid on the side with her butt facing outwards? Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I didn't register that, but you're right, aren't you? Yeah.
It's just there is that much care taken to every single frame, and that I think is the designer element of what Ford brings into it. There is not a single bit that Ford has looked at and gone, that'll do. If he's looked at something and thought, that needs to have more cobweb there. It needs to have more cobweb there. There would have been more cobweb put there and stuff like that. It is that finely tuned. And when you've got something that's that finely tuned, it tends to work better.
Agreed. Yeah, but I don't know. It's interesting. I think this is an evolution from A Single Man. I think A Single Man is fucking fantastic. I watched that this week, and I personally think that's a 5-star film. But if anything, this is.
Oh, I've lost you for a second there, Ian.
Just sorry. Oh, you alright?
Yeah, I lost you for a couple of seconds there.
Okay. Just the sheer atmosphere that this film creates is pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
Frankly, like it is stunning, and I just being in that world, like you say, it does feel horrible in the story world, but then in the world that Amy Adams is in as well, it doesn't really feel all that much better because everything is so cold and detached. I don't know. There's an artificiality to everybody in her world as well. I mean, like Michael Sheen's ridiculous fucking suit, and what Andrea Riseborough is wearing in that scene as well. You know, and like that. That whole kind of thing, I think that is Tom Ford commenting.
Oh, it's absolutely Tom Ford. I think commenting on the circles that he
finds himself
in. Absolutely, yeah. It's him. It's almost him going. I think as much pointing a finger at himself as he is at the people, but also as well, I think it's a little bit him saying, look, it's the unspoken secret that everybody in these circles knows. Everybody knows it's ridiculous. Everybody knows that it's for show and it's pomp and ceremony, and it is everybody, pretty much everybody, is already in on it. It's just and you can admit it to certain people. You can admit it to one person at a time, but you can't all sit there and say it's ridiculous. And it is. Laura Linney as the mother in the one scene she's got with her, where she essentially says, you know, all of this that you claim to hate, you'll come back to, because you can't survive without the comfort of this, and her character does get to know that she can't survive without the character of that, because it's where she feels most comfortable. It isn't where she feels happiest, clearly, but it's where she feels most secure and where she feels like she fits easiest, because she doesn't have to try. She just has to exist and everything will be fine. Whereas the idea of what she wants to do with Jake Gyllenhaal is she has to try, she has to put her faith into somebody else that then may be okay. I mean, even take the fact that she's quite well aware that her husband's cheating on her. But you never know whether or not that's something that is a problem for her, or it's just something that they have in their relationship. That's fine.
Yeah.
So it's all quite strange in that, and it's building up and saying, look, but it never points at you and says, look, you know, she might have everything, she might be rich and beautiful and successful, but you know, it's still a horrible life for her. It essentially points and says, look, she should have everything, but she's just a person who seems to be unable to be happy. But like you said, there's some incredibly tense things in it. The roadside scene, which goes on for a long time. It's a long scene where you never quite know. At first you're thinking, right, well, Aaron Taylor Johnson and his crew, they're Carl Glusman and I don't know who the other guy is. You're looking at them going, right, are they just fucking about? Are they going to drive off? And they're just playing with them, or are they actually dangerous? And you never quite know what's going on, really, until it just kind of happens, and then you don't know if they're still fucking about. And then when you find out, when it cuts them, and they're backtracking, what is it? And then you just see the image of the bodies. I don't know about you, but I was like, fucking hell.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, neither was I. That's the weird thing. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting them to be straight up dead.
No, I thought that his interactions with the rest of the Michael Shannon bits were going to be them trying to find them.
Yeah.
I didn't just think that they'd just snap. Then the next fucking day they'd find them dead, and it happened so quickly. And I look, I was in the cinema on my own, so I could get away with it. But I just was sat up and went, fuck, whoa.
Yeah.
I was sort of looking round for some reason, even though I knew I was on my own, just to look to see if, like, what the hell? That's cold.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just, like, that image just kind of smacks you in the face, doesn't it? Yeah, no, I mean, it's staggering.
It is, and it's also a beautiful shot, which it shouldn't be, but it is. And that's what tends to happen with this film. There's such fantastic shots within it that shouldn't be, and it's the horror of that. And I think that's where the kind of the kind of lynchy bits come into it, of showing you the dark side of these little communities. Works really well. And then, like you say, you've got the Michael Shannon who seems like he could be a character out of a different story, but he still works. But he works in this story. The fact that his arc is, he kind of feels bad for Jake Gyllenhaal's character. He kind of, when he's first in the car with him, he's saying, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?" And then he clocks from him that the reason why he didn't do that is because he's a different person to me. These are the things I do, but this guy doesn't think like that. And it's not a criticism to say that. He reacted the way that he thought he should react, not to save himself or anything like that. And then he takes on the, right, I want justice for this guy, and then it gets to the point of where he's, look, I'm dying anyway, so let's fuck these guys up, is essentially where he gets to, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I thought it was going to, I thought he was just going to, like, chew him out, and he was going to be slightly antagonistic for the rest of the film or something like that, and I think in a lot of films that's where it would have gone. But, they don't here. It is, like, he does feel bad for him. He does want to see him right. And it's a nice little relationship what that those two have with each other, I must say.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Have you anything else you want to add for it, or?
No, I think I'm good, actually. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, absolutely big fan. It will be, well, as it stands, it will be top 5 of the year for me also as well. I think it's an incredible film. But Bex didn't come with me to see it, actually. She said the day when it comes out on iTunes release, will you watch it again with me? And I was like, well, we can go tomorrow if you want. And I genuinely thought, I could watch it again at the cinema quite easily because I was that taken back by it. It looks magnificent.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I put it out to our audience, and we got a definitely not shit 73%, touching cloth 18%, and shit 9%. Which, well, it's a surprise, but fair enough. Not everyone gets along with everything. So yeah, Ian, what have you been watching this week?
Fucking hell, well, we didn't really do that much what we were watching the week before, did we? So I've got, I've got quite a lot. I'm just logging into my letterbox now, but so yeah, I won't go through these in massive detail. I suppose maybe a couple, but so I rewatched Captain America: Civil War before Doctor Strange. I very much like that film. Friend Request, which it's essentially Unfriended, but like not as innovatively shown.
Yeah, because I really liked Unfriended. I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting way to do a film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, basically, story is there's a loner girl at this school. Kind of a more popular girl receives a friend request from the loner girl. and she accepts it. The loner girl kind of becomes obsessed with her, and then the loner girl eventually kills herself, and then people around the popular girl start dying, and she can't, like, these videos keep on being posted on her behalf on her Facebook timeline, and she can't delete them, and, you know, people around her start, like, basically, like, stop being friends with her, and she becomes more and more isolated. The last act is nicely grim, quite impressively so. There's a meanness there that I was surprised by, but it's fairly generic stuff, really. But I mean, it's like 90 minutes long, and it's fine when it's on. So I watched Dirty Grandpa, but we're not going to have a debate about it because I thought it was
Yeah, not good, but not as terrible as you expected.
No, like, De Niro made me laugh a few times. I thought Efron was really miscast. Like, it just, him playing a guy who's kind of like slightly dowdy and like straight-laced and whatnot. It just, that's not Zac Efron.
No, he fits party guy better than he fits stay at home and do my homework guy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I mean, it had a couple laughs in it. I did quite enjoy Aubrey Plaza and Robert De Niro, just their interactions, just being filth, basically. I thought it was
one up each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. It was pretty funny. So I rewatched The Witch, which I still really like. We don't need to get into it.
No, we don't.
So I watched the BFG.
All right. Yeah. What? Go on then.
There's barely a story there. I mean, like, really, fuck all actually happens. Yeah, it takes an hour and 50 minutes, but I don't know. I thought it was quite charming, really. Like, the relationship between the girl who plays Sophie and Mark Rylance is well done. The kind of the cartoony CG actually works rather well. And yeah, it's just it's all quite charming, really. Would I watch it again? Probably not, but, you know, while it was on, I had quite a good time with it. Lottie was quite into it as well at points. She got a bit scared, but it was all right. It's by no means a classic. It's kind of easy to see why it just kind of disappeared, but yeah, it's a fun enough time.
Good.
We watched Kill List, which I still very much enjoy. I don't know. I think it takes a bit to get going, does Kill List. Wheatley's way of showing the ordinary and trying to make it unsettling is there in abundance with Kill List. And yet, when he gets more genre towards the end, I think it's actually a lot more successful. But yeah, Kill List. It's
yeah, I'd agree with that on that. Yeah, I think you're spot on that, actually.
Yeah, it just the last 20 minutes or so are actually pretty great, and you know the ending is very effective. It just the dinner scene and the main guy and his wife just constantly kind of like sniping at each other. It is a little bit like, get the point, let's get on with it. But yeah. Okay, I said I watched The Single Man. I watched A Bigger Splash, which is on Amazon Prime now, and it's directed by the guy who's doing the Suspiria remake.
Yes.
Whose name, for the life of me, I can't find it here. Fucking hell. Luca Guadagnino.
Guadagnino.
Yeah, sure, why not? And it stars Dakota Johnson and Tilda Swinton are both going to be in the Suspiria remake, as is Jessica Harper, which is interesting. And they are in this, joined by Ray Fiennes and Matthias Schoenaerts. So it's basically Tilda Swinton is a rock star who has lost her voice, and she's on holiday with her photographer, recovering alcoholic boyfriend, played by Matthias Schoenaerts. They are surprised when they're joined by Ray Fiennes' record producer, character, and his daughter, played by Dakota Johnson. And it's a mix of hanging out film and serious look at how language barriers and people just not saying what they feel can lead to bad consequences. And it's weird. It's really enjoyable, and then something happens with maybe about 20-25 minutes to go that changes things. And then the kind of the more what it's trying to say things kind of come to the fore a lot more. But Ray Fiennes does some rather amazing dancing in it. Tilda Swinton barely says anything. Matthias Schoenaerts is like he's his usual very manly self, but he's also quite a sensitive soul in this. And Dakota Johnson just seems to want to shag things. So there you go. It's good. I really enjoyed it. Actually, I mean, saying it's good is kind of damning with faint praise. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
Is it on Amazon Prime?
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Cool. I might watch it this week. Actually, that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, we'll talk about it next week then. So I also watched The Ghoul, which played LFF. The LFF online screeners are actually still available for some reason. So I've been meaning to get around to watching this. It was the one I mentioned a few weeks back where, like, I was talking about an embargo.
Oh yes.
And then I didn't actually get around to watching it at the time, so I can talk about it now anyway. So great. So The Ghoul, it's executive produced by Ben Wheatley, and so the story is basically, oh god, what to say, because it gets pretty twisty quite quickly. The outset of it is a police detective played by Tom Meehan, is called round to a house along with a colleague of his where a shooting has happened, where the shooter, like some eyewitnesses or something, actually that's the point, that's not really explained, but anyway, it's reported that a shooter shot 2 residents in this house, but they just got up again. Or like they took a load of bullets and then he disappeared, and then they got up again and disappeared themselves. And it goes from there. Now, very, very twisty-turny. Gets quite trippy. Weirdly like Kill List in it gets more genre as it goes along. And it turns...
It has a habit of doing that, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's executive produced by him.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're saying yeah.
Yeah, but it's very much his kind of sensibility. But Tom Ian is very good actually in the lead role. He's got to do. Oh, fuck, it's hard to say. He's got to do quite a lot of different things here, and he does them well. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I mean, I'll just... The line on Letterboxd for it. A homicide detective goes undercover as a patient to investigate a psychotherapist he believes is linked to a strange double murder. As his therapy sessions continue, the line between fantasy and reality begins to blur. Yeah, actually, that's a good log line. But yeah, it gets more and more genre as it goes. Very... good, woozy, effective style to the camera work and the editing. The music, the main theme, has a bit of the Terminators about it, which, which you can't say about everything, frankly.
No.
I wonder if I could... Okay, I don't know. So yeah, it's got a bit of the Terminators too, and it's kind of weird in that aspect. But it's I think you'd enjoy it.
Ah, cool. I'll track it down.
Yeah, I think it's God, has it actually got a release? Let's have a look. Yeah, I don't think it's got a release date announced yet. So, yeah, okay, never mind. But I imagine it will be around next year. It'll probably pop up on Netflix at some point. It doesn't feel like something that's going to get a massive release, but it kind of feels like one of those ones that, you know, your genre press is going to be quite into.
Yeah.
Weird psycho police procedural thriller with emotional elements. It's an interesting one. Okay, I just directed myself away from Letterboxd. So Margot at the Wedding, which was on Mubi, which I quite enjoyed.
Is that the Jack Black one?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those that I didn't outright despise is what I'll say. It's close I can get to liking it, I suppose.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% with Noah Baumbach either, to be honest. But
his Palmer documentary was fantastic.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. I think the Squid and the Whales are alright. I despised Greenberg at the time. I am somewhat intrigued to go back and see that, but I did like Francis Ha.
I haven't seen Francis Ha actually. I didn't despise Greenberg, but I absolutely despise Squid and the Whale.
Fair enough, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, so Margot at the Wedding, I don't know, it's kind of old, but I'd never actually, now anyway, but I'd never actually got around to seeing it. Yeah, I liked it. It feels like they did a lot of rehearsal beforehand and kind of like they get to know their characters. And yeah, it doesn't get as loudly shouty, everyone hating each other as I thought it was going to. So yeah, and I thought Jack Black was actually very good in it.
Jack Black is very good in it actually. He's got some great. I don't know whether they're very well written lines and just very well delivered lines, or whether or not he's added them and made them better lines. But he's got some quite amusing lines in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, there you go. That's Margot at the Wedding, and finally Nerve, starring our favourite little psychopath Emma Roberts and James's brother Dave Franco.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Nerve, directed by the guys who did Catfish and Paranormal Activity 3.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was directed by those guys.
Yeah. You know, it's all right. The visuals are really fun. The kind of the visualization of like online culture is well done. The MacBooks in it appear to be touchscreen. Which really put me off. That genuinely took me out of it, actually. But yeah, it's basically, for those who don't know, Nerve is a game that people can play. They can either play or watch, and basically watchers make dares for those playing, and if the people playing them do the dares, they win cash. Emma Roberts plays a girl who is basically told by one of her friends who is playing Nerve that she's just not really that dynamic and outgoing, and she's a bit of a misery guts and whatnot. So she decides to play Nerve. She soon teams up with another player played by James's brother Dave, it goes on from there. There are twisty turnies, and yeah, I probably won't remember it in a week, you know, but I quite enjoyed it when it was on. The ending kind of seems to hint that there could be a sequel. I hope they don't. I don't know whether this would sustain another hour and a half, but for what it was, I thought it was perfectly acceptable. So, yeah, there you go.
Cool. It's one of those where I will get to it because it's throwaway enough, I think, just to sling on. Or it looks throwaway enough just to sling on.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels like towards the end there's a speech that it kind of feels like maybe they were trying to reach for more than the film actually achieves.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like I say, it's fun when it's on.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm actually done. There you go.
All right, cool. All right, I'll get into mine then. So Halloween, I watched Trick or Treat.
Nice.
Which I usually watch pretty much every Halloween. And it's kind of become a traditional thing. And this year, I was not feeling it, but Becky really wanted to watch it, and I had told her we could watch it on Halloween. So we did end up watching it on Halloween. And then I got about 10 minutes in and was like, this is really a lot of fun. So I wasn't that bothered. It is still a lot of fun. And it's only 80 minutes that it kicks off at. It's... As well, it has kind of become a cult classic, I think. Or not classic, but very much a very much well-loved kind of cult film, which is quite cool. That it's achieved that kind of status. They're still talking about doing a Trick or Treat 2, despite the fact that I think there is actually a straight-to-video Trick or Treat 2.
Oh, really?
But they are planning on doing a proper one. And I'm also quite looking forward to rewatching Krampus, because I think you really enjoyed it, didn't you? And I was
watching
mixed.
that next month, man. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember saying to you that I was mixed on it, but I was looking forward to Christmas to watch it again, which was really didn't make sense. So I'm now actually going, December. I'm looking forward to December when I can watch that again. So I think I did actually like it a lot more than I'm remembering. But yeah, Trick or Treat is fantastic and holds up fantastically well, to be honest, even like 9 years later. What else have I watched? Watched the Herzog Into the Inferno, the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
It's a Herzog documentary, which really does sound like I'm being very basic, but it very much is a Herzog documentary in the fact that yes, he's showing you some stuff that is factual, but you've always got to sort of read between the lines sometimes with Herzog. So when he's talking to like indigenous people of this tribe that inhabit just below where this active crater is of this volcano, and he's talking to them and they're talking about sort of the mystical elements of it, you kind of have thinking, I wonder how much of that is them actually saying this, or it's Herzog saying, I will give you a candy bar and this bottle of Pimm's if you read this for me.
Nice.
And it is a little bit like that, where you never quite know with Herzog what's going on. But it looks fantastic, and Herzog is a incredibly charismatic presence in these things. And you know, when you've got that, his voice oversaying it, and he's talking about what's going on, it feels, you know, really good. There's a world lived in there, and it's really quite cool with that. And his co-director Clive Oppenheimer, who was in the Stories at the End of the World.
No Encounters at the End of the World. Yeah.
Encounters at the End of the World. Yeah, and he's in that. He's actually. He's the co-director of this, and he doesn't kind of rate it, but he's along asking a lot of the questions, and he's again it works well because he's kind of like he's the knowledge behind it all, but he's really you know, like I think a lot of the thing the appeal to something like Brian Cox is he's smart, charismatic, and he's clearly very passionate about what he does, which makes him approachable, and it doesn't feel stuffy. He wants to share his knowledge with people, and he's able to break it down quite difficult things into really easy to kind of digest and easy to take on board information. Clive Oppenheimer's like that when he's talking about being a volcanologist, when he's explaining sort of like all the details of anything like that. There's such a wonderful exuberance from him, and a clear passion that he's doing and gets paid to do what he loves, but he happens to be an incredibly smart guy at the same time.
Yeah.
And so you get that coming across, which is a really, I think anytime you've got that mixed in with something the way that Herzog shoots these documentaries, it's already instantly fascinating to listen to somebody who is that passionate about something that they do, and so that helps the film a lot as well. And you know, it's available on Netflix for nothing, and I wouldn't have I would happily go to see this at the cinema, quite happily and wouldn't have come out of it going, not really sure that required a cinema. But it's cool the fact that Netflix have gone, let's have that, throw it on there you go, here's a Herzog documentary. And it wouldn't surprise me if Netflix goes, you know what, we're just going to keep doing that, because he's going to keep making them. You know, he literally, he spent 40 years bouncing from one to another. When he's not making a feature film, he's making a documentary. And that's what he jumps around doing. So that wouldn't surprise me is if every year we get a new Herzog documentary on Netflix.
That'd be fine.
And do you know what? Yeah, fuck it, I'm fine with that. I mean, let's have a look. Let's see if he's got anything in the pipeline. Because he's, like I say, he's so incredibly prolific, Herzog, that it's frightening. I got the Lo and Behold that which I think came out in cinemas, which is that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, yeah.
Lo and Behold, that I think will be on Netflix probably by the start of next year. I would imagine. But yeah, that and the Inferno come out like weeks apart. It's just the man's prolific, to say the least.
Too fucking right it is.
I also watched another documentary that's on Netflix called Planet FIFA.
Okay.
Which is a French documentary by Jean-Louis Perez, who I'm not sure what else he's done, but it's a French documentary, and essentially it follows or it tells the story of corruption within FIFA and how corruption has become institutional within FIFA. So it takes you right back to how FIFA came about and how it was started up. And follows about how it was quite a noble thing, how they started up, and took it from there. It points the kind of the finger of blame at a lot of different people. So it doesn't just cover the financial corruption of FIFA. It also covers things like the fact that an Englishman became head of FIFA. And then England got the World Cup, and England won the World Cup with an Englishman as the head of FIFA. So there's that, and the fact that that African teams were kind of, FIFA was positioning itself as being for Africa, and that's how Jean Havelange, who became president of FIFA in '74, I believe, the way that he did that. Or that David Strauss, I think it was the English guy who was head of FIFA at the time, was he got the African votes. For anybody who doesn't follow football and doesn't understand, FIFA essentially is the governing body of football. And to how it works is every football association gets one vote to vote in the presidency of FIFA, and that's the person who runs football for the next 4 years. And Jean Havelange, who was a Brazilian, he essentially ran it for, I think, for about 24 years, I believe, up from 74 to 98. And then Sepp Blatter came over, but Sepp Blatter was his protege, and it does sort of look into the history of corruption, how corruption came about. If you're not into football at all, it will bore the living shit out of you. Because you'll just go, this literally is just a bunch of people working out ways to legalise their own corrupt ends. Which you could literally just call politics nowadays. But yeah, that's literally what it is. It's almost weird in the fact that you get the feeling that a lot of political sort of structures have gone, God, they're good at being corrupt, aren't they? They're really good. Why
could learn from that.
Why don't we do that? And it literally is like that. Because what FIFA did, which is magnificent, it's wonderful. What FIFA did was they were making loads of money out of advertising and marketing for the World Cup. Because that's what they do, the World Cup essentially.
Yeah.
And they were making a lot of money out of that from Adidas, was the chief one. And then they got Coca-Cola involved. And they were the chief sponsors. And then all of a sudden, Sepp Blatter came on board and was working with Jean Havelange and basically said, we need to monetize this by basically charging more. And that was what they did. And literally, one World Cup to the next, they just made it 10 times more expensive to buy the rights because they basically said they're going to have to buy them.
Yeah.
Then for the next World Cup, they went, hang on a minute, why don't we set up a company, right? And we'll set that up, but we can't set it up because we're a non-profit organisation. Hey, Adidas, do you want to set up a company that we will then give the rights to and they will do all the deals to sell the rights to various countries? Well, why would I do that? Well, you'll get the commission, you'll get 10% commission for it, and we'll liaise with you, and you'll obviously have to pay us to liaise with you, so we'll just make money. And it literally is, they created a company to launder money and just took it to Switzerland.
Fuck's sake, yeah.
To dodge on the, what is it? And it is the barefacedness of it is magnificent. I mean, when you look at like the Cameroonian officials, they worked out a way to that. They kept on asking FIFA for money and saying, we need money to build like a centre of excellence. All right, you can have it. And so they started building it, then just stopped building it. Literally, they put the foundations in and that was it. They just stopped building it. And then when they were asked, why haven't you continued building this? They said, we've spent all the money. I said, well, what you spent all the money on? Ourselves. They're not even hiding it.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. The head of the project sold his house and moved him and his family into a 5-star hotel and was renting 2 floors in a 5-star hotel using the money. I wasn't even hiding it.
Yeah.
It's staggering. So yeah, that was interesting. Unless you don't like football, not only if you don't like football, if you don't like football, you might like it because you might get away with your finger a little bit more at football. But if you've just no interest, it will bore the shit out of you.
Yeah.
But okay. I watched it. For example, I watched it because I pick Becky up from work, and I usually get there about 20 minutes before she finishes, at least. So I watched it over 3 days, waiting for her to get out of work.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's one of those.
Yeah.
We watched The Warriors because I just had an urge to rewatch The Warriors.
Nice.
And it's still fantastic. I still think it's still one of my favourite films of all time, and has been for 2 decades now. And then the last 2 I watched are both Fincher films. I'll get to the one in a second. The one that I think you're going to watch next week, I would assume, because I know you've bought it on iTunes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to watch it at some point, yeah.
I watched Panic Room because I was going to watch 7, but the reason why I didn't is because 7's over 2 hours long and it was already quite late. so I watched Panic Room instead, which actually is only about 10 minutes shorter than 7, so it makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Nice.
Yeah, it literally is like 10 minutes shorter than 7. But in my brain at the time, it made perfect sense. So yeah, Panic Room, which is I think I put in my Letterboxd review that it is it is the lessest Fincher movie of them all, probably, I would say. Yeah, and I still think that. But it's still good. It's still really good, actually. I love the fact that he went from the weird kind of thing that was Fight Club, where Fight Club bombed, but was a massive critical and cultural success. But it just didn't make much money. So, although, now it is clearly made, I would think, a lot more money than it costs now because of the various different home medias it's been available on, and there've been a lot over the years. In terms of actual kind of box office, I think Fight Club was considered a bit of a bomb, really. I think it didn't quite make double its budget or anything. I think it made just over 100 million or something off about a 60 million budget. But he went to Panic Room, where it was smaller, all set really within one location of that house, pretty much. And with 3 characters, Jared Leto before he became, Academy Award winning Jared Leto, when he was still, that guy from TV. that pretty boy from TV, and Forrest Whitaker, before Forrest Whitaker kind of had that Last King of Scotland rejuvenation where he was again just more like a genre actor, Jodie Foster trying to make her way back into it. But it's a fun watch, but crafted with that severe amount of dedication that Fincher has. Lifts it up. Dwight Yoakam's great in it as the psychopath within it, and Jodie Foster's really strange in it, in the fact that she can go from being really, really good to being really, really iffy in it, and she breathes funny in films, I've noticed.
Okay.
I think I wrote in my letterbox review for this that it's too long, and Jodie Foster breathes funny, doesn't she? Sometimes she says a line delivery is like she's just run 2 miles to tell her kid his puppy has died. And it is. She just does feel like that. But I really enjoyed kind of rewatching it, to be honest. It's fun and it's breezy and it's not as overbearing sometimes, which is a good point of some of the Fincher movies that you get. Which moves me on to the other movie, which I watched, Seven, last night, which is $3.99 with all those extras on iTunes. And it's a strange one, Seven, because I was saying to Bex afterwards, you know, like, I think, was it Fincher's second film after Alien 3?
Yeah, after Alien 3.
Yeah. So nowadays, if you had a David Fincher movie starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and you know, you wouldn't be able to hide now that Kevin Spacey was in it. And also Kevin Spacey was in it, and then you had, you know, a lot of character actors thrown in there, you know, people like John C. McGinley, Richard Roundtree was in there.
Ali Ermey,
yeah, who has one of the greatest, genuinely one of my favourite lines in cinema ever is in this movie. And it's when they're sat around, you know, the scene where Morgan Freeman's explaining that there's 7 deadly sins. Well, as he starts explaining the 7 deadly sins, the phone rings, and he's Ali Ermey just sat on a desk, and he answers the phone. And the line he says is, "This isn't even my desk," and then just puts the phone back down.
Solid.
And it fucking kills me every single time. I have to pause it just to get the laughter out of me. But yeah, if this movie was on now, it would be amazing, and we kind of view that as from there. But it was a little bit of a risk at the time. You know, it was written by a guy who hadn't really written a hit, and hasn't written a hit since, actually, which, you know, it shows something of the fact that this is very much Fincher's movie. Brad Pitt was kind of a risk in this kind of role, and Morgan Freeman wasn't quite yet the Morgan Freeman that we know. So it's weird, the fact that it was as good as it is, and it really is magnificent, this movie. It's beautiful to look at in a hideous way, and whenever people sort of say, "Oh, it's good, but it's too dark," don't you think? I genuinely feel like hitting them in the face of saying, you know, "Oh, I can't see anything 'cause it's too dark." I feel like hitting them in the face and then just saying, You see everything you can see is what Fincher wants you to see. If you can't see it, he doesn't want you to see it. Idiot. And then hitting them again. Just to emphasise the annoyance. Emphasise the annoyance. And not like a proper punch. You know what there's where you kind of stop as you connect, so it just does that. One of those hits. Yeah, it's fantastic, it's Seven. I don't need to go into it. It's magnificent. But it's so weird that movie kind of doesn't... I don't think it gets the credit it deserves, to be honest. And it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. But do you know what was that year?
Go on.
I'll give you the list of Best Pictures, and I'll give you the list of Best Directors, right, that beat out Seven, right? Braveheart won the Academy Award for Best Picture that year. So Braveheart, Apollo 13, Babe, Il Postino and Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is madness. Yeah, and Best Director, Gibson, and he won it. Chris Noonan for Babe, Tim Robbins for Dead Man Walking, Michael Fegis for Leaving Las Vegas, and Michael Radford for Il Postino. So what's weird there is you've got two movies, two directors there that weren't even nominated for Best Picture. It's quite strange.
Fair dues, yeah. No,
Yeah.
quite.
And when you look at it, I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, weirdly, and also Nixon was out that year. Nixon got nominated for like all the writing awards and acting awards, but didn't get nominated for Best Picture or Best Director. It's a strange year, actually, '96 for the Oscars. But yeah, Seven, absolutely fucking fantastic. Of course it is. But it's set me back on a bit of a Fincher watch. So I think I'll be watching a bit more Fincher this week.
Sweet.
Which is never a bad thing.
No, that's right.
Especially when you see that I've got Fight Club and Social Network. I want to rewatch that at some point. It's been a couple of years since I watched that. So yeah, I'm looking for that. I may even give Curious Case of Benjamin Button a rewatch.
Ooh.
I've only seen it once.
I've seen it a couple times, yeah.
It was in the cinema, and I didn't like it. But I figure that I owe it to Fincher to give it another go. And if I don't like it again, I can go, do you know what? I gave it 2 goes, years apart, and there we go. But the thing is, I've liked everything else he's done. A lot. So maybe I just went into it in the wrong frame of mind. Maybe I went into it already kind of disliking, because I think I did a little bit. I think I did already dislike it a little bit when I went in, which was probably the wrong thing going. So been a few years apart from it, maybe I can go in there with a better frame of mind and get something out of it. Or maybe I'll just fucking hate it again.
I'm intrigued to see what you think. Yeah.
Cool, right. Oh, yeah. Well, I've actually got some time off this week before I start my new job, so I might get some good film watching in from there. So yeah.
I was going to ask as well. Slight tangent. Is Becky interested in getting one of those PS4 Pros?
No, she's not, because the thing is, she plays her PS3 more than she plays her PS4.
Okay.
Because there's just not been enough games out for her yet, to be honest, I think. But I'm interested because I like new toys.
Yeah, I don't know. It's apparently the 4K-ness of it is actually quite effective, even if most of it's not proper native 4K. The review on Bongo drops tomorrow, so I suppose we'll find out then about it. But the word is...
Don't it come out like...
Thursday.
Thursday? Fuck. It's kind of like, it seems to have not... There's been... There was a big announcement, and there's little bits everywhere, but I suppose it's because the reviews are all embargoed, I suppose, and that'll be why. Wouldn't it just be asked? Wouldn't it just shit everyone up if the reviews come out and they went, we're shitting where there is a 4K player in it?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm interested. We'll see.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll see.
Right.
We have no emails, bastards.
We have questions though. Steve Dixon at the Great SD. There's some great new directors that have made 1 or 2 films. Which ones are you most excited about for the future?
Tom Ford, Damien Chazelle.
Derek Cianfrance, how many has he done?
Yeah, 3 now.
Yeah.
Blue Valentine, Baseball on the Pines, Light Between the Ocean.
Which is the only one I'm mildly worried about, but maybe just because it looks a little bit...
I don't know, it's not supposed to be great.
Yeah.
Good yawn. I mean, Dan Trachtenberg after 10 Cloverfield Lane, I'm intrigued to see what he does. And fucking Playtest, I'm intrigued to see what he does next.
Mike Flanagan's been doing some interesting work.
Yeah, man, Ouija 2's supposed to be alright. So
yeah, I've heard that it is Ouija 2 in name only, apparently.
Yeah.
Can we have Denis Villeneuve? I think he's done a few, hasn't he? I think
he's done a few now, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of sort of there's a good crop I think coming out at the moment. I mean there'll be a couple of like really fucking obvious ones we've missed off. But yeah, there's always a nice little sort of wave of new directors coming out, and they tend to creep up on you I think sometimes because if they come out with a bang, then sometimes. For instance, you take Richard Kelly, for instance, there's a prime example. You know, Donnie Darko found its audience on DVD, and then he did Southland Tales, which I enjoyed, but I can see why most people just went, that's just nonsense. And then, what was the next one? Panic Button, was it? What was it?
The Box.
The Box, that was it. Which was, I remember you really quite enjoyed it, didn't you?
The Box, yeah, man, mental. Yeah, but enjoyed it for sure.
And I thought it was bobbins, but enjoyable. And I don't think he's done anything since. He seems to have just done different special editions of Donnie Darko since. So yeah, it sometimes could be better where they'll come out with a film and you'll go, oh, who's this new director? Then you look back at it and go, oh, he's done 3 movies before this that I've also quite enjoyed. So yeah, it's kind of cool like that. But yeah, there's always sort of good new filmmakers coming out, which is it's nice that you've got that. And Chris Bine at Cinematronics, who we had a couple of drinks with last week,
Indeedly.
And it was always most enjoyable as ever. What's the best movie fist fight?
Well, they live in it.
Oh. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Can I throw in Fight Club of Ed Norton beating himself up?
Sure.
That's a good one. Which you could also throw in Jim Carrey beating himself up in Liar Liar.
Well, actually, that's not bad. Yeah.
There's got to be. I mean, obviously there's things like Rocky and things like that, but I don't know whether they count, do they? I won't say they count.
No, I mean it's a boxing match, isn't it?
Yeah. Unless you count his fight with Tommy the Machine Gun at the end of Rocky V. Yeah, They Live is a good shout. Yes, and that's it for questions. Ian, what are we covering next week?
What the fuck are we covering? We're doing Arrival.
Arrival, of course. Oh, you're actually seeing it tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow, yes.
Is that like a
it's a Cineworld thing.
Cineworld preview thing?
Yeah. Pretty pumped.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I would be. Yeah.
Pretty pumped.
It's got very, very good write-ups, hasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Amy Adams' double bill of awesomeness is fully expected.
Yeah. It's cool the fact that both Nocturnal Animals and this are very much Amy Adams movies, despite the fact that they've also got quite billable and bankable male stars as well. They're very much being pitched as Amy Adams movies, which is kind of cool with the fact that she's reached that level, and she is deserving of that level because her output is phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And yes, she's. Well, I don't think I've ever seen her in anything and gone, ooh, she's a bit iffy in that. Apart from Leap Year.
Wow.
Which is weird that she was ever in that. But then again, I don't think she was bad in it.
What, in Leap Year?
Leap Year, yeah.
Yeah, I think I test screened that, but to the life of me, I couldn't tell you for sure.
Yeah, I thought that's kind of become more synonymous to the fact that that it kind of almost ruined Matthew Good's career, but not because he was bad in it or anything like that, just because he was an utter prick with it, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, turn up to do press interviews and saying that he didn't want to talk about it because it was shit.
That's funny.
Which is commendable, but the fact is, apparently, he was an arse on set as well.
Well, wouldn't you be? I suppose, you know, it's I don't know, it's Leap Year.
Yeah, it is. It is. But the thing is, I remember him saying, I've seen him with him a couple of years back, and him saying the fact that he kind of regrets how he acted on it. because he feels like he let a few other people down because he said, he said there was somebody else in it who clearly thought that it was crap as well, but she acted very professional and got on with it, and I didn't, and maybe I should have, and I'm probably never get a chance to work with that person again. And Amy Adams said that she really enjoyed working with him and that it was quite amusing.
Oh, there you go.
So I think, it was one of those maybe. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to Arrival. It looks very, very good. And it's going to be nice to see a serious sci-fi movie. That they're getting back on vogue. So I think that's pretty much it. Oh, one other thing, slight kind of thing that I should probably done in news at the start.
Oh, hit me.
There's a lot of big deal been made about the fact that Tarantino saying he's going to do 2 more films and then retire. He's been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, he's been saying that for ages.
But it's been reported like it's new news. But it's not. He's been saying it for a good.
I suppose it's the fact that he's reconfirmed it. Like he's like properly sticking to his guns on it. That appears to be the thing that's caught people.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've got another couple of years until we get a new one, haven't we? He ain't gonna do one next year. I don't think. I think it'll be the year after. So that'll take it to 2018, probably more like 19, right? Early 2019.
Sure.
And then you're looking at, 3-4 years from there? So you're probably looking at 2022. By the time we get to the 10th Tarantino movie in his final one.
Yeah.
It'll be like 60, I think, by then. And it'll be 10 films in, 40 years nearly? 30 years?
Sure. Yeah, again, about 30 years, yeah.
He's not the most prolific of guys out there in terms of it. And it's because I think the way that he works is he's constantly gone on for all these years about how many ideas he's got and how many kind of scripts he's started and everything like that. But you get a feeling like that there could be a notepad of just ideas for one film. But he's read it back in like his mid-40s when he wrote it in his mid-20s and gone, oh, this is garbage. this is utter garbage. He's gone, I'm going to pick up another one. And it's just like the fucking notebooks in Seven. And he's like, I think I already made this, actually. Yeah, that's the Hateful Eight. Fucking hell. Yep. No, wait a minute. That's just Raging Bull. I've just written about Raging Bull. and I get the bit it's a little bit like that with Tarantino. And he's saying I'm going to do 2 more, but I guarantee you, if you said to him, what are you going to do? Now we go, right, well, I'm going to do a gangster movie that's going to be like set in the 50s, and then I'm going to do a sci-fi movie. And then if you spoke to him 6 months later, he'd go, yeah, I'm going to do a war movie, and I'm going to do a movie about a guy who runs an ice cream parlour. And it'll be like that, but he's very much set in the idea that he only wants to do 10 movies.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of commendable. And one part of me hopes that once he hits 10, that's it. That he does 10. And that he leaves it and he retires. Rather than Steven Soderbergh retiring, where every film, he makes 2 movies and then goes, say, I'm done, I'm retired, I'm sick of this bullshit. And you're thinking, alright, 3-4 years' time, have another movie out though, won't you? And then he comes out with another movie. He's got something out next year, isn't he, Soderbergh?
Yeah, oh god, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, which I'm glad that Soderbergh's coming out because he makes great movies. But it's just, stop retiring, because you're not retiring. You're going to come back out. You're retiring like Kevin Smith retires. So yeah, I just thought it was quite amusing the fact that he's been saying it for a number of years, yet everybody seems to be talking about it like it's fucking new news.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I think it's just because of the fact that he is properly sticking to his guns on it. I think it's taken people by surprise.
Yeah, I think if people look back and sort of go, oh, but hang on a minute, he hadn't made that much. And he's not saying he's going to retire from, what is it? He may well, he wants to do theatre and things like that, and he wants to write an opera and bits like that. And I think he seems to like the idea of getting to 10 and boxing off his film career and then going and trying his hand at something else.
Yeah.
which could be quite cool.
Yeah, no, that's agreed.
If you like, let's be honest. If Tarantino writes an opera or a play, it will be screened in cinemas. It will be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With absolute, it will be. So we might have that to look forward to, and I'll gladly watch a Tarantino opera, for instance.
I would, Coco.
Yep, cool. Right, so that is episode 184 for you wonderful and glorious people. And we will be back next week with a review of Arrival, some more trailers, and some more what we've been watching, and our usual stuffy stuff. Ian, anything else to add?
No, I'm good, man.
Cool. Right, thank you very much for listening, guys. DudeAndMonkey.com. Ian put up a great post today. Well, not today when you're listening to it, but this week, about physical media and digital media and bits like that. But it's really good read, so go ahead and read that. I know I have an office that I can write things in, so I'm going to start actually hopefully posting some more bits on there. At Ian Loring, at David Monkey, at DudeFoz. All right out.
Bye.